privacy in the times of coronavirus, gone or just beginning? And we'll talk through these, of course, coming up here. So who we've got out here? I'm Mark Thomas. I'm talking to you from the United States. I'm in the state of Kansas right now. We have Ramses out in Spain. We have Alan, who is from London, UK. Dirk is talking to us from Belgium today. Ed is from U.S. He's talking to us from Ohio in the U.S. Veronica is in Kenya. Alain is from the Ivory Coast. We have Opiemi from Nigeria. We have Dr. Ramsey and Dina from the country of Jordan. And finally, Kaya from Turkey. What would be your top tips you would provide to me as an organization based on what we've talked about today?
I think realize that these requirements are changing. They're dynamic. Nothing is written in stone. Everything is always changing. 6 months ago, pre-COVID-19, privacy requirements, I think, in terms of online participation in these kinds of events was very different than they are today. I think this is pretty much the only game in town now, remote access and webinars, and people have to be able to share their private information. I think 6 months ago, people were much more challenged by sharing their information. So that's an example. It's just everything is dynamic. We have to really know the nature of the information we're changing, who we're sharing it with, and how those people are going to use it. Those three questions, I think, are fundamental. And the rest comes out of answering those three questions in my mind.
Get ready to defend the decisions that were made during the pandemic. Acknowledge that this is an actual business issue. A lot of the times it's like, oh, well, that's an IT thing. No, this is actually a business issue, and we have to have those adult discussions around why this is important, not only now during the pandemic when we're working remotely, or we're collecting that information to identify and track the virus, but how we're going to move forward from it.
Remain vigilant. Unfortunately, we're seeing a massive uptick on cybercrime, whether it's ransomware or malware attacks, etc. People who work in this risk security assurance area, remain vigilant. Convince your business leaders that you have a very important role to play right now and as we come out of this as well.
I would suggest to think globally. When we talk about privacy, it's not, as it was mentioned, it's not an IT thing. Most of the time, the first question I have is, what is the best tool to ensure privacy? It's not a question of tool. Privacy is about protection of private data, and data are everywhere. They are on IT supports, but also in the heads of the people, on papers and everywhere. First of all, think globally, and then appoint somebody who will be in charge of that. And these people must have a global, a holistic view of the enterprise. So these people need to be at the executive level, not inside the IT department.
Basically, keep evaluating your cybersecurity resilience program, keep improving your vulnerability management program as well. Be aware of phishing attacks. The number of cyber attacks has been increased rapidly since March until today. So be aware of phishing and potential fraud.
These are the moments of showing leadership, taking care of people, understanding, on the triad, that we always say people, process, and technology, etc. So leadership was one of my peaks on the triangle. The other one is use technology. Well, yes, probably it's the technologies to me that I like technology, but especially when everybody now is working from home and they say in the new paradigm, 60% of the people will do smart working, which means going back to the office once per week or twice per week only. So they call it smart working. That's 60%, Mark, but means that the other 40% will never go back to the office. So I am saying that because, wow, that's another shift in perception. So use technology, advanced authentication, make sure that it's the right people accessing the right information. Use encryption. Let me go back to GDPR for 30 seconds. It is written in the law. Encrypt, encrypt, encrypt. It's mentioned, if I recall correctly, no less than 7 times. So encrypt, encrypt, encrypt. That's my second suggestion. My third one, get ready for a change in culture. So the expectations will change. When we talk about people, process, and technology as a triad, I always say another triangle on top of that, which is culture, structure, and strategy. So talking about the culture, get ready for a cultural change, different expectations, different approaches. So leadership, use of technology, and of course, get ready to understand the culture.
Yeah, actually, two things, Mark. First of all, we have to review and assess how we were working and doing during the pandemic environment and the pandemic period. What are the lessons learned? What were the challenges? And based on that, we have to build our privacy strategy, maybe aligned with the cybersecurity strategy and our other strategies in the organization. Get top management commitment, as just Ramzi said. I totally agree with you. In this strategy, we have to look into our stakeholders, just what are the tools that are required, the challenges, the skills. From that, we can go into the same situation again. We will be prepared with this strategy and the skills we already have.
I just want to speak to people listening from my region that we need to step up to a higher standard beyond what the environment requires of us, because mostly privacy is driven by compliance. And if you don't have regulators that are strong enough to enforce it, people tend not to focus so much on it. Go beyond what is required to what is excellent, what are the best practices globally, and ensure that we localize that.
We should be wary of the emerging technology trends and their impacts to the privacy. Remember, right now, most organizations, we've been dealing with take your own device home, but now organizations are dealing with take our device home. So how is data handled even in the household? So let us be wary of how data is handled, and as we are planning or replanning our audit plans, let us ensure that we've really captured data privacy from the entire organization's perspective. Back to you, Mark.
Join us next week, which is cybersecurity. We'll have the same type of discussion about some of the laws, regulations, and how we balance the privacy things that we talked about today with cybersecurity. And of course, we'll wrap this up on Wednesday, May 27th with one of my favorite topics, which is IT governance systems. Thank you for joining, everyone, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks all.